Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one because, like, usually when something major happens, you get a sense of it during the game, and I didn't. I don't think anyone did really had a sense of that something significant had happened. Certainly, maybe I'm just focused on the game, but I didn't get that sense. I think straight after the game, Anth mentioned to me that there was a statement coming out, but even then, the first sort of questioning I got wasn't really about that, and then it was only when I got to the press conference and all you blokes were muttering amongst yourselves and not listening to me that I knew something important must be happening. And then you kind of realise what's happened, and obviously a fairly significant event during a game of football that you kind of, and look, whatever I say is probably maybe going to be seen through the prism of we were the beneficiaries of a mistake, and we certainly were that. There was the facts of it are there was a legitimate goal that Liverpool scored that wasn't given. You kind of look at why it's not given, because that's obviously the first thing you kind of question. Well, what's broken down? Obviously something's broken down, and it became pretty clear there was it wasn't an integrity issue. It wasn't a misappropriation of the law. It was an error, in communication, a mistake that cost Liverpool a goal, and that's what it was. And I get that it's an unusual one in that it's never happened before, but at the same time, we're kind of in a new space anyway with technology, where I think there'll be a lot of firsts with the way we deal with these things. As I said after the game, my view is that we want an errorless, faultless system that I just don't think exists and will never exist unless we want to turn our game into like other codes where, the event goes for 4 hours where we're explaining every decision.
To score a goal?
I just don't see that as, if we want managers to be the arbiters of these kind of things, I mean, we've got pretty hefty responsibilities at our football clubs, but we're not the custodians. I wouldn't make a decision that potentially could send your club down, or could potentially on the back of what my beliefs are. And in that moment, if somebody can tell me that they could explain everything that went on within the sort of prism of 30 seconds that I have to make a decision, wasn't going to happen. I mean, it's different if it's something clear, but it's quite obvious that it was a bad error, a bad mistake, like I said, through lack of communication, but it wasn't something that was easily explainable, because if it was, I would assume there would have been more uproar during the game than there was. I don't know, and I don't know if that's actually been decided, and I'd be surprised if they have gone down that way. I mean, it's, as I said, it's a significant error, but it's a human being that's made an error. I don't think that there's anything that needs to go, too far-reaching. I guess everyone just wants to make sure, what happened doesn't happen again. And when you listen to the audio, I mean, and I'm no expert in these things, and that's the other thing, don't ask managers and players about the rules of the game. We don't know half of them. The referees do, and we shouldn't be commenting on, because if a referee commented on the tactics of a game, we'd all be jumping up and down as well. At some point, we've got to respect their position. And look, I'm not one that hasn't complained about decisions in the past, and I probably will in the future, but in the prism of that, if they're made on the back of mistakes, then, mate, that's part of, like I said, it's part of our game. It's not supposed to be flawless. It's, the same way players, managers make mistakes, referees at times will make mistakes. But, from my perspective, when I listened to that audio, I just thought, well, saying check complete, somebody obviously thought that's a good way of finalising things, and it's worked up until now. But, I would have thought the logical thing would say goal for Liverpool, and there isn't anything. But I'm saying that with the ignorance of not knowing how it's really set up. But I think when you listen to that, you probably go, there's probably better ways of communicating a clear decision in such a big situation. And I'm hoping that's what they're addressing, not the individual who made the mistake, because I think that's a dereliction of the game. That's like me hanging out a player to dry just because he made a mistake. My role is to go in there and help that player improve, not to say, well, you're never playing again.
I know you don't want to talk about Fonz again, but you could go top of the league this weekend.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Something to be happy about, right?
Oh, wow. Firstly, can I say what a gentleman Henry Winkler is. He sent me a message, and that's truly chuffed by that, because you know, I think I said during the week, sometimes you get disappointed when you mention your heroes, but yeah, what a great gentleman. And if he does send me a poster signed, I will definitely put it on my wall, despite the protestations of my wife. But yeah, look, if we win, we go top of the table for what, 24 hours, but who cares, mate? We've got to win. We've got to win. Yeah, it's a tough game. Tomorrow, our folks got to be putting on a performance and playing at our best, because if we don't, then it won't matter where we're sitting on the competition ladder. It'll be us focusing on a poor performance.
Yeah.
No more props, please.
Next week meeting.
Yeah, brilliant. As I said, I think you know, it's been a fantastic story. I obviously followed English football for a while, and I remember when Luton were amongst the big boys for a long time, and then obviously you know, they fell down that pecking order of the football hierarchy, but to fight themselves up from where they are, it's great for the town. And like I said, Rob's done a brilliant job, because even last year they had there were some pretty big clubs that were challenging for promotion, and you know, he got them up there, and I can see that in this team again, that you know, any team is going to play them, they're in for a tough game. As valuable as Sonny is for us, he's just as valuable for his national team, and I'm sure Jurgen will look after him, and Sonny looks after himself. It's not for me to dictate to national team managers. Like I said, I've been on the other side of the fence, and you know, whenever I was national team boss, I took care of the players, knowing full well that you know, they have to go back to their clubs and manage whatever we could through that. And you know, I'm confident Sonny and Jurgen will you know, manage him through that process. You know, it's nothing too drastic that needs to be done, and Sonny's the kind of, you know, the best judge of that. And like I said, he hasn't missed a game for us yet, so he's contributing significantly in every game.
One of the things you said after the game.
All a little bit.
No one's wrapped in cotton wool, mate. There's no cotton wool here. There's it's only barbed wire and uncomfortable uniforms, mate. So they all work hard every day. They just have different programs. But Matters has trained all week. He hasn't missed a session.